Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new edition of the Road to Indy Insider Live. My name is Rob Howden. I'm actually on location already in St. Petersburg. Came here directly from Barber Motorsports Park. Of course, we were there last weekend for the opening round of the Road to Indy, and man, what a fantastic weekend it was. There was some rain potentially called to come in on Saturday, and we thought that maybe USF2000 drivers are going to be racing in the rain. That didn't happen. We actually had cloud cover to start the day, and then it actually turned out being really beautiful in the afternoon. There was an issue, obviously, as those of you who may have watched the race. There was a power outage. A transformer got hit by a tree, or a tree knocked down. There was a fire. We had zero power at all at the racetrack, and eventually trying to hit that TV window for IndyCar qualifying, USF2000, their second race got moved afterwards, and it essentially wrapped up right as the sun was starting to set. But again, live here from St. Petersburg, a couple of drivers joining me here today for this first really post-race edition, a debrief, if you will, of this year's Road to Indy season. I know that everybody very excited to get things underway. USF2000, Indy Pro, and Indy Lights back for 2021. Let's bring my drivers in right now because I'm getting the race winners from this weekend in USF2000. Prescott Campbell, Yuven Sundaramoorthy. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Good to be here.
Well, Yuven, let's start with you because you were kind of the guy that came out of the gate strong, right? Obviously, one of the storylines coming in was there was so much testing that happened at Barber, whether it be private testing and then spring training, and then we had a couple of test days the day of qualifying. There was so much time to be on the racetrack. But the bottom line is when we finally went qualifying on Friday with 2 qualifying sessions for your Saturday races, it was put up or shut up, right? No more of the crap qualifying or testing. I'm faster than you. You're on the clock. You know, your third year this season. Just first off, we'll talk about your approach to qualifying, but just right now, first and foremost, what kind of relief did you have when you were able to really start putting those lap times down and then finally realize you were going to start the season strong and were able to get the pole for race 1?
You know, it felt really good. I mean, going through the practice sessions, obviously, we were expecting 3 practice sessions, and we ended up getting really 1 because of the tire thing.
Yeah.
But going through that, I mean, it was pretty clear just based on like the sector times and everything. There was just 1 or 2 corners I had to work on. And I knew that if I got those corners down, then I'd be all set for qualifying to be top 3 or even pole. So felt really good. Went through qualifying. The team gave me a really good gap. I had a nice draft off of Michael DiOrlando in front of me too. So that was really helpful.
That's it.
And my dash actually stopped working, so I had no clue what times I was running.
Really?
But it felt pretty consistent, so I was happy with that. My team said I was P1, and then I kept trying to push because I was expecting other people to come. I saw the yellow flag in turn 13, and then ended up looping it, destroying a set of tires, and then causing a red flag. So,
but luckily, you already had a banker lap in. That was good enough.
Actually,
yeah.
Funnily enough, I had 3 laps that would have been good for pole. What happened was I already had 2, and then on the lap that I spun, I crossed the line with 3 tires in the grass sideways, and that was my fastest lap.
All right. Well, that's it. I like Prescott's reaction. Wow. Listen, you mentioned your team, and I'll obviously do that with both of you guys. You came back with Paps Racing this year. You had tested for a number of teams on the off season to get a feel. Talk to different guys, and just have a different feel, I think. You come back to Paps for this year, and speak a little bit right now just about how much different you are as a driver from your first time with them to now, and just how everything's kind of shaken out because you've been with Paps for a number of years now.
Yeah, I mean, every year it's kind of just been more improving. A big part of it was just confidence with the downforce, confidence with the speed of the car. Obviously, coming from F1600, we don't really have that downforce, so it's all about sliding the car through the corners and not so much carrying speed. So that was the big improvement. And then also my braking, which we've been working on a lot this off season and the previous off season too, which I think I got better. I think I had decent amount of pace through the year last year. It was mainly just putting that lap consistently together in qualifying. So especially after this Barber one, to see how I think every lap was within 0.2 or something like that in the first race and even the second race too. So definitely can see those improvements there, which hopefully will help a lot through the qualifying through this year.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how things can continue to roll on for you. Now, one of the interesting things is, of course, as we know, a lot of dynamics within the team, right? Everybody's got different guys in their team, whatever it may be, and there's some jokesters or some guys that have some fun. Here's your team right here. Hunter McElroy says, Yuven, how do you spin and pole? Yeah, so that, of course, Hunter McElroy was Yuven's teammate USF and in USF 2000 a couple of years ago, now running Indy Pro. There's your team's already throwing you under the bus here on that spin and pole. But as you said, Yuven, three laps to get pole. That's a overall pretty good qualifying car to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. It was consistent, had a good gap, so worked out really well. The team has never let that go yet, so I don't think it will go for a while, Hunter, as soon as I came out of that qualifying. Because at the time, I wasn't sure that I had a banker lap, so I thought I was about to lose it.
I was calling it that you'd be second. I was like, he's going to fast lap for sure. That's amazing.
And then Hunter was like, that's the most Yuven way to get a pole position. So.
Prescott, let's just go to you real quickly and just talk about coming into the event itself. Obviously, same with you. You were with Exclusive Autosport last year, tested for a couple of teams, and decided on D-Force Racing. And man, that team looked good all weekend long. Everybody kind of up there in the top 10, top 12. Even your rookie driver, Eli Navarro, coming out of the Lucas Oil School of Racing, as you did, was very strong as well. Coming into the event, what kind of confidence did you have that you were going to be able to be at the pointy end of the grid?
Well, I think the whole team had a lot of confidence. Obviously, we were very strong in spring training. Just a couple of weeks before that, it was our first chance to see where we stacked up against the rest of the grid this year. Huge grid, by the way, 27 drivers. And we knew it was going to be very competitive and very close with that many cars on track. So we were very happy with how we stacked up in spring training. I think I was second. My teammates were third, fifth. And so we knew we had a strong car that would be capable of, winning come the first rounds. So we went into Barber, confident in the car, to help the drivers a lot. And I knew it was going to be tough. If I left anything out on track, my teammates would find it. So that seemed to be true in practice, and put it all together in qualifying. I knew qualifying was going to be, kind of the most important sessions throughout the weekend, without how difficult it is to pass around Barber with the aero wash. And had two consistent qualifying results, P2 in both qualifyings, and that was kind of the main objective to get the weekend started.
So first ever front row startings for both of you guys, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You starting from pole for the first time. And I talked to the broadcast about checking all the boxes, right? You check the box of the first pole. You check the box of getting a great start, the opening start. Then we immediately go, you have a restart as well. Talk about the race a little bit, and what were your thoughts when the yellow came out? We're like, oh, man, I got a nice little gap. Prescott not going to be able to pull away. But then yellow comes out, and you had to do the restart. Was that something you had in your mind about being prepped for?
I was actually happy with the yellow coming out.
Really?
It kind of helped save the tires a bit longer. I knew I had fresher tires than the D-Force guys did, because they obviously ran that first official practice. So it helped me kind of keep my newer tires longer. And also I noticed that Prescott had pulled away from Josh, and I knew that if they got in a battle for second place, I'd be able to pull away a little bit easier. So I was kind of hoping on the restart Josh would get a bit of a better jump, which he ended up doing, and that kind of helped me out a bit, as I think Prescott was pushing to try and stay in front of Josh and ended up putting it off in turn one.
There it is.
Hey, you don't have to say that.
That's it. Let's go. Man,
I've never put the car off in my life.
No, never?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I know, that's true.
Well, let me go back and get some video. I'm going to throw a couple of pictures up here first as you talk about this. When you've won races, of course, in the past, right? And when you're in your third year in the program, you want to get that first victory. We saw it with Stingray Robb last year, right? He ends up finally getting the victory after 49 starts in Indy Pro, and then the floodgates opened up. Can you tell me about the last couple of laps? What was going through your mind? Let's talk about trying to hit all your marks. And let's talk about those last couple of corners when you're coming out to get that win. What kind of emotion rolled out there?
Yeah, it definitely was really stressful. I mean, before the race, even, I was just like, the nerves were hitting, and it really took a lot to kind of calm down, stay calm. I had my coach Bob Perona in my ear telling me every lap the gap to 2 seconds back to Prescott, no pressure, just kind of stay calm. And I was just trying not to make any mistakes. I mean, I've had many iRacing races where I put it in the wall in the last lap. So just was trying not to do that. Try to stay a little consistent.
So
I backed it up a little bit.
You come out of 17, and I'm right there at start finish in the announcer's booth, and I could see you do like it's almost like you were stretching your seatbelts because you were coming out of the car so much. Tell me about the emotion of getting that first win.
It felt really good. It took a while to kind of set in.
Really?
You know, like I got off people were complaining I wasn't celebrating enough after the race. It just kind of wasn't. It took a while to kind of like realize what happened.
Oh, really?
I think a lot of it too.
You mean like back at the trailer kind of thing?
Yeah. It took a while. I was giving Augie a hug, and he was like, "You don't seem happy enough," and then he was like, "It'll set in."
That's it.
So I kind of did. I think also because I was leading the whole race, kind of was able to kind of absorb it for a while.
Yep.
Instead of like a last lap pass, which is my first F1600 race. That's kind of what happened there.
Okay, so hold on. So tell me about this. Is this win or is this Wisconsin?
That was the point was Wisconsin.
All right.
But everyone was like, "Oh, it's W for win," and I was like, "No, it's Wisconsin." But,
for people don't know, give them your connection to Wisconsin other than living there.
I go to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. That's where I am here right now in my dorm room.
That's awesome. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Congrats on the victory. Prescott, let's move over to you right now because obviously one of the issues for Yuven wasn't it? He ends up turning in a tremendous performance because he starts 15th, I think, in race 2 and then worked his way up to 10th, which gets him nicely to the championship. A lot of overtakes there. Prescott, for you, a strong second place finish in race number 1 early in the day. In the afternoon, you come back. And again, on the front row, like you said, with your teammate Nolan Siegel, you push like crazy. Eventually, he makes a minor mistake coming onto the front straightaway. You're able to get by. Here you are leading your first laps in USF2000. And really, I don't even want to say it's your second year because it's only the second race of the second year, right? So it's almost like that, year and a bit. But into your second year, give me your thoughts on taking the lead, number 1, and then how you had to work on the mindset to be able to, like Yuven, not make any mistakes over the remainder of the distance.
Sure. Well, throughout the weekend, I was spring training P2, quali 1 P2, quality P2, race 1 P2. I wanted to go one better. I was really eager to get that win top 1 session. And this is my last chance to do it at the event. So, Yuven had a great race in race 1, didn't put a foot wrong. And I knew once I was in the lead, I had to do the same. So capitalized off the mistake by the leader at the time, got by and just knew I just had to put in consistent clean laps.
One of the things I think for you maybe a little bit different was obviously with the tires and the way things were happening. IndyCar rubber had gone down by then, right? We hadn't had that as of yet. You guys have been on kind of a clean racetrack. The IndyCar rubber's down. And a lot about Barber after the repave, you guys are carrying so much speed through some of these really constant radius corners, long duration corners, really, really eating up that left front. Did you find the balance on the car was pretty good? Did the D-Force guys handle it, or was that right front going away, even though you were the guy out front with clean air?
Well, one thing I learned in the first race was that you want to be in the lead. Everybody behind you is going to have a worse tire situation because you're just burning that left front in the air wash. That's a problem I ran into in the first race. I knew once I was in the lead that everybody behind me was going to have the same problem. So I knew I was in the best position tire-wise and, balance-wise, being in the lead, and just had to bring it home.
Indeed. Let's talk about your last couple of laps as well. Same thing, because I want to get the mindset. Obviously, again, both of you guys are in your second or third year. You've been in the series before, right? So it's always you're a different person every time. What were the last couple of laps like for you? Was the car pretty good? Because I know you had a decent size lead.
For me, yeah, the car was good throughout. I don't know if that was meant for even myself, but
with you.
Yeah, the balance didn't change hardly throughout the race, and just repeating what I did every lap, basically. With air wash, it kind of gives you a bit of confidence. Like, keep the car behind you.
That, yeah.
In P2.
Yeah.
So, it was a pretty calm race all the way to the end, and but crossing the line, the elation was over the roof, and yeah, I was ecstatic. It was an amazing feeling to win.
Yeah, and then I love that it's always like it's like 2 levels of it, right? You've won the race, then you cool down the lap a little bit, but you're still pretty party in the cool down. And then when you roll into pit lane, your whole crew's there, right? And all of a sudden it comes back again because I thought your helmet was going to pop off here. Look at dude, you were fired up.
Yeah.
Tell me, you get out of the car, everybody's there, cameras are there. What's the, again, you've won races in your career, karting, Lucas Oil, whatever it may be. What's just give me a little taste of what that feels like right there.
Went through a whole season without that feeling, and to have it back was just amazing. I really longed for it all last season.
Yeah.
Really wanted to get that winning feeling back. So once I got it, I just had to express it all.
So I'll ask you the same question, both of you, Yuven and then Prescott. And you guys know I harp on this a lot and talking to you guys, especially when you're younger and in the program and maybe getting frustrated. Yuven, tell me how much different you are now going into the second race of the season than you were 2 years ago at the start of the season and last year at the start of the season. Just tell me how much, because I think people don't realize the maturation of you drivers being so into it, whether it's the physical side, the mental side, whatever it is. How much different are you going into St. Pete this weekend right now than you would have been even last year at the end of the season?
Yeah, it's especially after this win, the confidence level is a lot higher, for sure. And also just kind of getting comfortable with the car. St. Pete, the person who is going to put it on pole is the person who is closest to the wall. That's basically just the formula for it. Closest to the wall without being in the wall. So it's just going to be that. It's just confident with the brakes now, a lot more comfortable with that, confident with the car. I trust this Pabst Racing team, and they've always brought a really good car to St. Pete and to every event, really. So it took me a while to kind of get used to the car, get comfortable with the car. That's what's really impressing me with both my teammates this year, Jace especially, with barely any car experience, if any.
Yeah, agreed. Jace
for him to be able to qualify fifth in his first ever qualifying was really, really impressive. Yeah. And Josh with his 2 podiums being 15 years old, which is insanity.
It is.
So, it took me a while, but I think I'm finally at that point where I'm confident with the car. I'm able to get close to the wall, close to the limit, and know where the limit is.
Anything in the off season that you focused on, you think that's helped this with the fitness size, working with a mental coach, anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm working with Simon Hayes, Grant Hayes, and also Stuart, who is a sports psychologist, and also with David Ferguson, who's a sports physiologist in Michigan State. And nice. All these guys, working with them has really, really helped me this offseason, kind of getting the mental game better, getting the physical strength better. I put on quite a few pounds this offseason, so feeling really good, really comfortable with that.
I could see that when we rolled into spring training. I'm like, man, Yuven's looking pretty good here. I think we just lost Prescott. He'll be back. I'm sure he'll dial back in. Yeah, dude, you look like you put some muscle on, which is great. Lastly, but we'll get Prescott back and hopefully be able to cap things off here. Lastly, coming into this particular weekend, how do you feel rolling into St. Petersburg? What are your thoughts on getting on track for the first time on Friday morning?
It's going to be a bit difficult. I mean, St. Pete, especially because we are always the first guys out. It's always super slick track.
Yeah.
And it's our only practice session before qualifying. So the key is just getting as many laps in as possible. Got to keep it out of the wall. And we know there's going to be red flags, especially with the fields as big as they are. So getting those laps in before those red flags comes out, and getting a decent understanding of how the track works.
I'm going to put a hex on you about those red flags. I don't want any red flags at all, but you never know. It's St. Petersburg, so sketcy. Prescott, we'll rewind a bit for you as we dropped you. We got you back. What about you in terms of the off season? How much work have you done in the off season? And are you working with anybody a little bit different than you would have maybe a couple of years ago?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the off season, but it was related to engineering. I got a job literally the week after St. Pete, an engineering job, because I'm taking a year off of engineering school. And I think having that to focus on throughout the off season has helped me a lot mentally. Just having something to, challenge myself in that way and something to work towards, different projects, and I've really enjoyed that. But on the racing side of things, I have worked a lot on the mental side of things. Started working with a mental coach, and I think I've fixed my approach to going into this season and to each race event. I think that's helped me a lot.
How much different do you feel than the guy that I met, or I met again? I've obviously known him for a number of years, but the guy that I saw when we started the season at Road America last year?
Very different, I think. I think coming out of the Lucas Oil Championship as the Lucas Oil School of Racing Championship as the champion, I had a lot of high expectations for myself. And I think the Road America results were a bit of a shock to me. And at that time, I didn't know what I needed to do differently and what was wrong. I think I figured it out by now. And, the changes I've made seem to be working.
That's awesome, man. All right, let's talk. I asked you even this question as well. Going into St. Petersburg, St. Petersburg's always the tough one, right? Because the rookies are always brand new coming in. And last year, it was the last race of the year. Now it's only like 6 months ago. So I don't know if that was fresh on your mind of how well you did there, how the comfort level you were able to develop by the end of the weekend there. What's your expectations and focus going to St. Petersburg when we get on track on Friday?
Well, first of all, I know the car is going to be very good. The force was very strong there at the end of the last season, with a win there. And so I know that I'll just have to put it all together myself. I know I'm going to have the car under me to do it. And it's going to be, like you said, get as many laps as you can. That's really important around there. And clear track ahead.
And that's it. Very cool this past weekend. 6 different pole sitters, 6 different race winners. Nobody doubled up on the weekend as well. You two were able to get it done in USF2000. Yuven, congrats on your win. Prescott on yours as well. And, man, guys, good luck this weekend. It should be fun.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Let's drop them out here. Let's get rid of Prescott. Let's get rid of Yuven. A couple of really tremendously talented young USF2000 drivers, first-time winners, and it really has kind of shook things up, right? We had kind of 4 guys that were near the top of the charts last year that we said, these guys are probably primary title contenders. Then you throw Yuven and Prescott in with such a tremendous debut. What a great way to start the program. Again, moving to the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg this weekend, all 3 series on board. I just found out about an hour and a half ago that another driver being added to USF2000, Michael Myers, confirming with me as we messaged each other that he is en route right now to the event at St. Petersburg. So we'll see how many cars we do end up with for this event. But otherwise, as the guy said, really, really great lineup of drivers this year. I think we had 26 or 27 in USF2000, 17 in Indy Pro, and 13 drivers in Indy Lights. And super excited about getting, again, down to the streets of St. Petersburg. Do appreciate everybody joining us here on my YouTube channel for the Road to Indy Insider Live. We'll come back again next week. We'll get a couple more of the drivers who had success in the streets of St. Petersburg. Otherwise, everybody knows where to tune into everything. Follow me, of course, on social media, RTI_Insider on Twitter, Road to Indy Insider on both Facebook and Instagram. And then, again, all weekend long coverage on roadtoindy.tv. The Road to Indy TV app, any of the websites that we actually stream through the actual series websites, USF2000.com, IndyPro2000.com, and IndyLights.com. And if you're following Indy Lights, of course, Peacock for the U.S., Rev TV in Canada, and the YouTube channel of The Race for Indy Lights internationally. Again, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on another edition of the Road to Indy Insider Live. My name is Rob Howden. Book it.